Okay, if I say anything about Rohit, this PR will come in, so it's not going to say anything. I think Adelaide's his territory, and we should see a big performance from him again. Yep, Kohli man of the match performance coming. Calling it here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hit Cricket, your source for cricket analysis, commentary, and fun. I'm your host, Sean, joined by local cricket fanatic, Rahul. Today, we're going to be previewing the Adelaide test that's going to be starting tomorrow. But first, let's talk about the Perth test since we didn't get to review that previously. So, we left off on Jaiswal and KL Rahul's incredible partnership, uh, opening very strongly for India. Jaiswal ended up getting that century, which was very awesome to see. He played a very classy innings, playing a lot of balls, which was great to see for a young player like him. And then we saw King Kohli finally returning to form. As Rahul predicted, he's going to be the X factor, and he delivered. He hit a century out of nowhere, and it was just inspiring to see from Virat Kohli. Uh, India's batting was incredible, much better than the first innings. Rahul, what do you make of India's batting as well as their bowling performance that followed that?
I mean, it was outstanding. The sheer domination that we saw. India absolutely bullied Australia in those last 2 days and just dominated them on each day of the test match. And that's something I've rarely seen in the Sena countries when India goes to tour there. I've seen them win, but this level of domination is something uh, I'm seeing like this is one of the few times I've seen it. And to bully Australia in their home terrain was something fascinating to see. As far as the batting is concerned, I mean, Yashasvi Jaiswal, I mean, I love him. He's such a good talent. People doubted him, thought he couldn't uh, withstand the test game in foreign conditions. Australia wouldn't suit him. He'd be nicked off early and all that stuff. But he showed why he's here to stay. And to play 300 balls, like you said, in a territory like Australia where the ball is doing something initially is no joke. And that century was fascinating. And it'll set him up beautifully for the rest of the series to have probably one of the best debut series an Indian players had in Australia, if not the best. So I'm looking forward to big things from Yashasvi Jaiswal this series. And as I said in the preview, he's crucial for India's success here, and he proved that in the first test in Perth as well. And KL Rahul's innings might go under the radar, but that was outstanding. To withstand the first 15 overs where the ball moves the most, and then to cash in and hit that 70 odd was magnificent. And then King Kohli, what more can I say about him? I as I mentioned in the preview, he's going to be the X factor for India. He's going to have to step up if India wants to pull off the unthinkable in Australia, winning 3 times in a row. And he showed why he's just a boss in Australian conditions. I mean, the first innings he failed, but second innings he showed what he can actually do. It's a fascinating 100. Started off pretty slow, but then we could see that confidence just creep into him, and then we just saw him get into his best form. The shots he played his cover drive, he played his flick, he played his reverse sweep, played a lofted shot for six, played the sweep. He pulled out the whole array of shots that he can play, and some shots that he doesn't even play. So I just saw the best of Kohli there in the second innings, and it's ominous for Australia if Kohli continues his form the rest of the series. So yeah, as far as the batting is concerned, and NKR as well, notable mention. Both innings showed his class with the bat. So as far as the batting is concerned, it was outstanding, absolute domination in that second innings, and key batters returning to form was really crucial. And as far as the bowling is concerned, I mean, boom, boom, Bumrah. I mean, he's a goat.
Man of the match performance, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 8 wickets was unbelievable, and he just brought India back into that game after that first innings, debacle, and he was well supported by Siraj and Harshit Rana as well. So I think all in all, it was such a dominating performance, and the fact I love is that no one gave India a chance at the start of the Test match, but not only did they win, but they won in such a dominating fashion, which probably has just shattered Australia's confidence for the rest of the series. So that's what I'm really excited for, and I'm excited to see if Australia can actually bounce back from it in Adelaide.
Yeah, and we know that Australian mentality of toughness and perseverance, but they're absolutely shaken. You could definitely say that. So let's see. Let's start previewing the Adelaide test now. So it's a pink ball test. So the game will start a little bit later in the day and it'll continue on into the night. Uh, the pink ball is a little different than the red ball, Rahul. Do you want to give us a little analysis on what the pink ball could mean for both teams?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the pink ball, uh, test is like a day-night test match. So thing with the pink balls, it moves more, and especially in the night under the lights, you can see a lot of movement, and that's where you see a good amount of wickets towards the tail end of the day's play. You can expect to get a decent amount of wickets because the ball will move, swing and seam. So ideally, if you can have a team start batting at the end of a day's play, you can expect to get a good amount of wickets just because how much the ball will move under the lights. And there is help for spinners as well. I don't know if with the pink ball it's as much as with the red ball on a tiring surface, but there is help for spinners, especially in a ground like Adelaide. So yeah, mainly it'll be way more useful for seamers, and you can see the ball swing a lot more with the pink ball. So yeah,
Mhm.
can expect the seamers to come into play more.
That's going to be really dangerous with Mitchell Stark as well as Bumrah, of course. So let's start by talking about Australia. And they've already released their playing 11. There's only one change, Scott Boland in for Josh Hazelwood. We've seen Scott Boland, whenever he gets his chances, he's performed for Australia. Against India, he has performed uh, in multiple occasions. So, Rahul, what are your thoughts on Australia's playing 11 that they've released?
I mean, I think it's a valid playing 11. You know, the only reason Josh Hazelwood's out is due to injury, and Scott Boland is a perfectly capable replacement. You know, if you have Scott Boland coming in for an injured seamer, Indian batters are not gonna take it any easier because Scott Boland's a quality player. And the one I remember one spell he bowled in the Ashes where he took 6 wickets in the span of 3 or 4 overs. You know, when he gets in rhythm, he can dismantle a side within a session. So he's that kind of bowler, and as Josh Hazelwood will be dearly missed as he does trouble the batters a lot, and he bowls that tight length where he can both contain runs and pick wickets at any phase of the game, and he's not only new ball dependent. Scott Boland is someone who can definitely come in and rattle India's top order and middle order as well. So it's a good replacement. But I'm just concerned for Australia with the form of the top order batters. Now I know India's top order was also not in form coming into the first Test match, but I've never seen Steve Smith this out of form. You know, he's missing balls that he usually can play, and he just seems like he's a shadow of himself from the past. But hey, people are talking about that about Virat Kohli, and he showed how he can come back to the Virat Kohli of old in that last inning. So I definitely won't put Steve Smith down. He's a quality player. Same with Marnus Labuschagne. These two are both quality players, and I definitely think they have Test cricket left in them, and that although they're not in form right now, they could step it up here in Adelaide, which is generally a good pitch to bat on.
Hmm. Yeah, class is class. I mean, class is permanent. So with a guy like Steve Smith, you never know when he could get back into form. So India needs to be wary of that,
Yeah,
for sure.
especially if Australia wins the toss and bats first on this wicket, and Steve Smith gets his eye in, he could get a huge score because Adelaide's that kind of wicket where the first innings for each team is crucial, where you can easily put on 400, 500 runs because it's a good batting wicket. And with the pink ball, it'll be a bit tougher, but I think you can still expect to put on at least 300 on both sides. And Steve Smith gets his eye, and it could be dangerous for India.
Mhm. And what do you think about the Australian spin attack with Nathan Lyon? How do you think he's going to fare with the maybe in some condition that could suit him more?
Yeah, so thing is, Nathan Lyon's a quality player. If India has an Ashwin, Australia has a Nathan Lyon, and to pick up wickets in Australia, which is generally a more seamer friendly terrain, especially over the first 3 days of a Test match, is fascinating. And he's a legend in his own right. And I know he's not in the best of forms either, like in terms of wicket taking ability, but I feel like Adelaide, the second innings in Adelaide is crucial for him because he's one guy who can turn a game around in day four, day five. Because day five, Adelaide starts to turn a bit more, and there is purchase for spinners. So I expect Nathan Lyon, if the Test match goes down to day five, to keep bowling at one end and exploiting the conditions. And he's one guy who can pick up 6, 7 wickets in the second innings if he gets his rhythm right. So I feel he'll be crucial in the second innings, not so much in the first innings, although he can bowl tightly. But second innings is where he can turn a game around with the wickets he can take and on day four and day five if the Test match goes there.
Hmm. Yeah, Australia is looking to recoup after that first test match. So we'll see. They're going to come out with some fire for sure. Next up, let's talk about India. The return of two key cogs in their lineup, Rohit Sharma, the captain, as well as Shubman Gill. We've gotten news that Rohit Sharma will be batting in the middle order as he used to do in Test cricket. So, Rahul, what are your thoughts on the return of these two players and whether that could positively impact India's chances? Which I mean, I don't think there's a question there.
Or I mean, I don't know if it's uh, okay. I think
Really?
fine. I think see the thing is they've got off to such a good start with Bumrah as captain, and I feel like they won convincingly. So the thing is, you obviously Rohit Sharma is the captain of this team. You can't keep him benched, but like take aside the name Rohit Sharma, take aside the captain. I mean, after such a convincing victory, do you feel the need to bring him in? I mean, let's be honest. Rohit Sharma has had a quiet past series, and he's not impressed that much in Test cricket over the last few months. So I mean, as far as like if you bring him in for Dhruv Drill, I guess it makes sense because Dhruv Drill also didn't perform. But the thing is, if I was in the Indian think tank, I'd keep Bumrah at captain purely because of the impact he created in that first Test match. But I guess they do want to create that culture where everyone feels safe and just everyone is reassured. So in that way, I think Rohit Sharma and Gill coming back is a welcome sign because Devdutt Padikkal or Dhruv Drill they didn't perform, but I mean, the thing is, Rohit Sharma has just not been in the best nick. And while he's a quality player, like I mentioned with Virat Kohli, I don't know if he's just the approach is not fitting with me. Like he's just taking on every ball. He's just trying to attack when the situation gets tough for him, which I don't think is right in Test match cricket. So I don't know, but Shubman Gill is a welcome return for sure. He'll definitely be a better alternative than Devdutt Padikkal, and he's in decent form as well. And so I think they are welcome returns for India, but I wouldn't say it's gonna completely like make India way more stronger. I'd say it's a decent addition, but that's the thing. I don't think it's like a overwhelming positive news, but it's good to have them back.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, given the performance of the other two in the Perth test, I mean, this can only help, to be honest. So, aside from the dynamic of Bumrah not being the captain in this match, that's one other thing. But yeah,
So okay, if I say anything about Rohit, this PR will come in, so it's not gonna say anything.
yeah, you got to take care of your own head first. So, uh, let's talk about the. We already briefly mentioned this, but the return to form of Virat Kohli. What could that mean for the Adelaide Test? We all know his record here; it's incredible. So, Raul, what do you think Virat Kohli could do in this test here?
Oh, I mean, he's going to be a key player, like I mentioned, for Perth as well. I mean, I'm a King Kohli fan. I'll say he's a key player every game. But this game, especially, his record in Adelaide just speaks for itself. I mean, his Adelaide's basically his territory. I mean, in 2011, he hit his first 100 against Australia here in Adelaide as a young 22-year-old. I mean, that was a magnificent century. He was fighting against Ricky Ponting, and he had Ricky Ponting had to separate him during like fight with another player. So that aggression was there from then itself. And I mean, the 2014 Test match, something I'll never forget. Twin hundreds in Australia, and your debut Test match as captain was something out of this world. I mean, he had 100 in both innings, and while India didn't win that Test match, he set up that mentality for playing for a win, not for a draw, chasing 350 in the final innings. So, I mean, just that character he brings in Adelaide and the amount of runs he scores is just fascinating. And even in the last pink ball Test match in Adelaide, he hit a wonderful 70 odd before getting run out. I mean, that was a sad story, but waiting for the 71st century. But thankfully, we're past that point. But his record in Adelaide speaks for itself. He has an average of around 70 there. He just has 3 centuries. And I think Adelaide's his territory, and we should see a big performance from him again. And scary for Australia if he can get it going.
Yeah, he's absolutely an X factor for India in this test coming up.
Yep, Kohli man of the match performance coming. Calling it here.
Hey, you heard it here first. Come back and roast Raul if he's wrong. But one other X factor, the definition of an X factor is Jasprit Bumrah. What could he? What impact could he play potentially with the ball swinging a little bit more, and just his overall class impacting
I mean,
Australia?
I don't even think we need to like mention this. Bumrah is just like probably the best bowler in the world right now by far across formats. And in Test cricket, especially the pink ball, there's no limit to what he can do. He can wreck a side in a session. He's that kind of bowler, and especially with the support the likes of Siraj, Harshit Rana are giving him in the pace department, he can definitely bowl more wicket-taking lines and lengths, and not worry too much about going for runs, but trying to pick up the wickets, which is really ominous for Australia. And I feel with the horrendous form of the Australian top order combined with Bumrah's terrific form, if the trend continues from Perth, we could see Australia getting bundled out for a session with this guy picking up like the bulk of the top order again. So I think Bumrah obviously is an X factor, and he's crucial in making sure that India can get a sizable lead in the first innings and also closing it out second.
Hmm. He rattled Australia like anything last test. So it'll be interesting to see how Australia bounces back from that. But are there any playing 11 changes that you think India should make for this test, or do you think they should roll with the side aside from Gill and
Yeah,
Rohit?
well, obviously Rohit Sharma has to come in because he's the captain and because he has the PR. And then Shubman Gill comes in for DDP. I mean, no brainer that one. Gill is obviously way more like quality player at the moment in his career than DDP. Although DDP is a good player and he's developing. But yeah, those two changes. One other thing I would do, I don't know how many people would agree with me, is I'd bring in Ravichandran Ashwin for Washington Sundar. Now I know Washington Sundar had good test with the bat, like he played 100 odd balls and had a good partnership with Kohli in the second innings, and he can pick you wickets. He had a magnificent New Zealand series, but the issue is, I think Ashwin is a legend in his own right. And as I mentioned before, day four, day five, the ball will turn and the pitch will become conducive for spin. And if you ask me who will I bank on to pick up 6, 7 wickets in the second innings to win me a test match defending a score, Ashwin or Sundar, I'll pick Ashwin with my eyes closed. Just because of the legacy he has. I mean, Washington Sundar is been playing good, but I won't have that same amount of confidence in him to rattle aside like I would with Ashwin. So that's one change I'd make. And Ashwin is more than a capable batter. He's played some crucial innings in Australia. That innings in Sydney is something I won't forget. Him and Hanuma Vihari partnership. So Ashwin is definitely a capable batter. And he's a better bowler than Sundar, although he's in the later end of his career right now. So Ashwin for Sundar is something I'd consider, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, given the form of Washington Sundar in the New Zealand test, as you mentioned, he was taking wickets left and right. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if India would make that change, but it's an interesting talking point for sure. And we'll see what they do later
Yeah, they're
tomorrow.
not gonna, but
Yeah. All right. I think that is everything. But let's get a score prediction or a winner prediction. Rahul, what do you who do you think's gonna win this one?
India's gonna win easily. But I feel the toss is gonna play a crucial role. Whoever wins the toss and bats first is gonna have a significant advantage. And now, although India did bat first in the last test at Adelaide and that horrendous 36 all out happened, it's not going to repeat itself. History's not going to repeat itself here. That was an aberration, a once in history type thing. It's not going to happen again. I feel batting first is a huge advantage because you can get a decent lead if you can put a good score on the board. And then it gets harder to bat in the fourth innings, as I said, with the ball turning. So I think whoever bats first starts with a significant advantage. But I feel India has that confidence behind them and the form behind them to win regardless. So I'd go with an edge of 60-40 or 65-35 to India. And I think Kohli and Bumrah are going to be the key contributors. And I also see Rishabh Pant playing a good knock.
Mm, let's hope so. He's a very class batsman. I can't wait to watch him bat later tomorrow. But yeah, that should be everything. As you know, I'm rooting for India, and I think they're gonna win. But anyway, that's the end of the video, guys, and we'll see
You
you.
give your prediction,
Oh, India.
like percentage.
Yeah, I'd say I'd give them like 60-40, like you said. I mean, India has just been playing so well, and I really feel that Australia, with the sentiment around their team, that they've been shaken by India, and the mentality is not the same as it used to be.
But I would not rule out a bounce back one bit. These guys are proven match winners, Australians. They have that mentality to no matter where they are, just come back and get inside your head. But I feel with the current Indian side, it's not going to be easy. But don't be surprised if Australia bounces back and just rattles India early on in the test match.
Hmm. Yeah, you can never count them out, but it just seems a little different this time. But we'll see. I mean, I'm obviously rooting for India, so all right. That's the end of the video, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.